Good morning. You're listening to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance. And now, sharing his knowledge, here's your host, Matt Libby.
All right, and good morning. Welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. I asked him beforehand because I keep forgetting. Don Warren with
Southwest Funding.
Southwest Funding. I was going to blow it there. He is a mortgage lender, but one of the reasons I had him on the show today is he's also a veteran. He and I met at I think it was with Operation United Hope.
Yes.
They had a veteran vendor fair. So basically it was veteran businesses or businesses that primarily service veterans. And we were like back to back in the table area. So we got to know each other a little bit. So I thought, well, Don would be a good one. Because one of the things I love Don does is he focuses a lot on the VA loans.
Absolutely, yes. I am a lender. I do all loans, FHA, USDA, conventional, but I love focusing on VA because there's so much misinformation on it. So I do whatever I can to get out and just educate with that.
And you do continuing education for realtors, correct?
I do.
Yeah. So anybody that's in real estate's listening, because you do them locally, but you also go to East Tennessee too, right?
I do them all over the state, and I also do just with brokerages, go do lunch and learns, whatever they need on there.
Okay, awesome. So kind of just jumping right in, what is probably the number one misconception people have about VA loans? Or I should say veterans have about VA loans.
One of the misconceptions on there is that they can maybe only use it once. That is, you can use it multiple times. It's a lifetime benefit. But another thing is there's a lot of veterans that don't even know that they have this benefit, and including National Guard, and we're trying to get information out about that, about National Guard and reserves that also have that benefit. Yeah,
the National Guard mission has changed so much in the last few. Ever since Desert Storm, it was like the guys that maybe they'd served in Vietnam or they avoided the draft and joined the National Guard, or had some active duty time. It's like, well, I don't want to go overseas again, but I don't want to leave the military. So they joined their local National Guard or reserve unit, and then Desert Storm happened, and half or more than half of the people who got sent to Desert Storm were National Guard and reservists, and that kind of has gone forward with the war on terror. A lot of our National Guard units are spending more times in combat zones than active duty.
Absolutely. And one thing that I realized when I started taking a look into just what units there were just in Tennessee, they are all over Tennessee. So there are a lot of opportunities for these National Guard members to become homeowners. We just have to educate them.
Right. And I hadn't even really thought about that before you mentioned that. So that's really neat to know. And I work a lot with some National Guard folks. I've gotten to know Christine down here at the Armory here that does the ID cards. She's a retired Air Force Chief Master Sergeant, and she's been a good referral source for me. And people are coming in. They're obviously probably retirees. They've got TRICARE for life, but they got questions about that and how that might work with Medicare. And I've been able to, help a couple people out that way. And it's great. And that's what's great about networking. And I think I've sent her an email. I think probably need to do it again of inviting her to be on the show sometime. Because the thing is she's usually working at this time when we do the recording. So it's hard, but she'd be a good one for our show.
It's absolutely always good information, and just to keep bringing that information up over and over again.
Now, I know one of the things, and this is probably one of the things you cover a lot with your continuing education for the realtors, is a lot of times sellers don't want to sell to somebody on a VA loan.
That is one thing that is just so frustrating to me. Is I will take a look, and I just did a class a couple of weeks ago in Gulfport, Mississippi. I had a little bit of time to kill before the next morning, so I started taking a look online to see what homes were available, because in Gulfport there's 3 active military bases there.
Right.
That's a lot. So I was taking a look and go, okay, there's a lot of young guys that's on these bases. Let's take a look and see what's what. And I saw that there was a home there about $120,000. Mm-hmm. It was being listed as investor friendly. It had been on the market for over 6 months. It showed that there was a tenant in the home, but it said cash or conventional. And I'm thinking, well, if there's that type of issues with that, then even conventional may not meet the minimum property requirements of conventional. So let's take a look and see what we can do to open this up for VA, which VA, it could actually possibly pass the purchase, or if the minimum property requirements weren't much, be able to do that. Get the minimum property requirements resolved, or go with the VA renovation loan.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about one of these young guys that's already there at the base and they're willing to do that. What a great investment opportunity for them to be able to do. Well, that goes not just towards bases, that goes towards all over the U.S. with how many veterans are in this community. There are a lot of veterans in all over Tennessee.
Yeah, and you were talking about, the only one loan. I purchased my first home back when interest rates were much higher than they are right now, when everybody's crying about the interest rates. But the thing was, when the interest rates were low and we had a lot of people doing a lot of flips and stuff during COVID, that kind of inflated the prices. So those, that increase in rate has really, push those house payments up. Mine, I think I started out at like 14%, but I was only financing like 44.5. Yeah, so it wasn't a big deal. 8% on a 200, 250, equivalent, because that house probably now would be over 100,000, and it's just a little 3-bedroom. My daughter actually is living in that house now, but we put that on the rental market. Went overseas and came back. I was at Fort Campbell. Went to Fort Campbell, went to Germany, came back to Fort Campbell. We decided to buy a different house, and we were able to do VA. But I don't know. Our lender was a credit union, because that's who the sellers wanted to deal with. Because we went to for sale by owner. We didn't go through a realtor on that one. And we showed up at closing, and we needed another $7,000 because we actually had to put money down because of our eligibility. But they didn't tell us until we showed up at closing. Fortunately, I actually had the money in the bank. I could write a check because it was like my advanced travel pay and some other things I had done. I had some money in the bank. But most of the time, you're going for the VA because at 100%, you don't have to have the down payment like on a conventional loan. And yeah, that was a stressful closing.
Yes, well, that's one thing as well. First, to wrap up on the sellers not wanting, a lot of times it's just misinformation about that. There's more flexibility with the VA loan than there is with any other loan.
Right.
Hands down. But also with what entitlement is remaining to be able to use zero down. It's easy enough to do the calculation, and since around 2019, there is no actual loan limit that you're capped by, if it's all free and clear.
If you can qualify, you're saying.
If you can qualify, if you can find that $3 million home, and the lender will loan on that $3 million, then you can buy that $3 million home with zero down payment, zero monthly mortgage insurance. However, once you have current entitlement being used on it, then the county loan limit comes into play, and there's calculations for that. But that's still a lot of room to be able to do that. Start off with that, first home buy the first home. After 12 months or so, go buy another home. Turn that first home into a rental.
Right.
And you'll have 2 VA loans at the same time.
Yeah.
And you can do that. You can buy up to a 4-unit property.
Yeah.
With that, so there's.
Now, do you have to live in one of them when you do that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes, and one quick example on that, we're working with a National Guard member. He's been in for 13 years. He's over in East Tennessee right now, but he's looking at building a duplex. And he's got a buddy who owns a construction company. So.
Oh yeah. So that's convenient.
Yeah, that's very convenient. So they're going to build that. Then he's going to buy it using his VA home loan. He's going to rent out the property, live in one for a period of time, and then he's going to see about moving out of that, get something else, and turn that into a rental. And his goal is that by building up some investment properties, this is something that his children can look forward to as a kind of wealth building for him and his family.
Yeah, and another example, I maybe have shared this before on the radio, but just speaking, I've used, whenever I have bought a house, I use VA. I'm on a second marriage now, and my current wife, her husband passed away before we had met, and so one of the things she was able to do was pay off the house with the life insurance and such. So she was in good shape there with that house. And when we decided to move here, she was working in Knoxville. I'm working in insurance, and we're like, hey, we can work anywhere. And we can get and we actually our plan was to go ahead and purchase a home here. So we don't go, because I'm self-employed, so it's a little harder sometimes to get your approvals in to show that, hey, I actually do make money. I can pay this. I have my retirement check. I think that's the one thing that always gets me is like, I have my retirement check. Just that alone would qualify me for a home. Maybe not, the one I want, but just, I could still get along. Anyway, she was working in Knoxville, so we wanted to go ahead and do everything while she was still working with her employer and being able to. It actually turned out was. She ended up basically was living here, but she was already working remote. For COVID, she worked from home for the last year and a half when she was working for Pilot. I can say it. She doesn't work there anymore, and Haslam's don't own it anymore either. So we can say what we want about Pilot Travel Centers.
Right.
Not to bash them, but it was always very kind of risky to talk about them because if they didn't like something you said, you could lose your job over it if they saw it on social media. And they had people that trolled social media to see if any employees were bashing the company. But anyway, I said, well, let's just do a VA. I said, we don't have to worry about coming up with the down payment. As long as we can make the payment, we can buy. As long as we can make the payment, let's buy. Because we knew we were going to sell the other house. Well, once we sold because we didn't close on the other house until almost a year after we had moved, because we took the time to clear it out, get some things fixed up on it, and then immediately paid off the loan on this one.
Right.
Because we bought the house we bought. We didn't downsize per se, but we sold our other home for more than what we purchased here. So it was great. It was and that was something that was great to be able to use VA, knowing that, hey, I had full eligibility because I had paid off, I had paid off all the loans I had previously with VA. So I had 100% of my eligibility then.
Absolutely. And that's nice when you have the flexibility to be able to move into a new home, take your time with getting rid of the other home and moving out and get things done. That's always nice to be able to do with that. So, but it all starts with that first home.
Right. All right. And just notice the clock. We're coming up on the break. I kind of was running a little long on last week's show, so I got to be careful here. But we'll be right back after the break.
Hi, this is James Green, your local Twin Lakes security consultant. As a business owner, you juggle a lot. Worries are part of the job, but security doesn't have to be. With Twin Lakes Security, you can build a custom security package offering 24/7 protection. Our fully integrated solution simplifies monitoring and control through our mobile app. Secure your system, view live streaming videos, manage access, and regulate energy use, all with just a few clicks. Call us today for a free quote at 931-528-2005 or visit us at twinlakes.net.
T insert number C-0026.
Do you have material left over from your last completed home project? Or have you redecorated and have good quality home decor pieces that need a new home? The Upper Cumberland Habitat for Humanity Restore needs your donations now. Do yourself and your community a huge service by clearing out that clutter and making sure it'll be put to good use by those in your community who need it most. Stop by our location today at 560 South Jefferson Avenue in Cookeville and make your donations today.
And now, back to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby Insurance.
All right, welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. Hope you found on those commercial breaks somebody that you maybe would do business with to help us keep this radio station on the air. But again, I'm here with Don Warren with Southwest Funding. I would have said it right. I couldn't remember if it was funding or financial, and it was an F. But we've been talking about VA loans and some of the misconceptions people have of that. What are things you think people maybe have misconceptions about my line of work, which is the health and life and Medicare insurance?
Well, I know as I'm approaching old age myself, I just recently had a birthday, and I'm going, ooh, I could take early Social Security if I wanted to.
Yeah.
If they would have invested the money wisely.
Yeah.
So, that didn't happen, so I'm still working.
Right.
But it's just understanding the things and the timelines of what I would need to be looking for as I go forward, and when I need to actually take a look at filing for for my insurance.
Sure. Yeah, and that's one of the things that came up, and it actually came up in one of my workshops this last week. And one of that was, about, and I've had people even say, hey, I'm going to start my Social Security, when I turn 63, or when I turn 60, you can get it at 60, so then I can start getting my Medicare. And I'm like, nope, sorry. You can draw your Social Security before 65, but you have to wait to 65 for Medicare based on age.
And that's one thing my wife and I were talking about the other day on there is that, yeah, they're two separate things.
Yeah.
So understanding the timeline, because my retirement age is 67,
right?
When
yeah,
I can supposedly get the full on there, but yet the Medicare.
Yeah, because mine's like 66 in 8 months. I'm on Medicare now, but like yourself, because I have other income, I am not drawing Social Security yet.
Yeah, so it's a matter of just trying to figure out both and when you actually have to do the filing for Medicare, because of there are certain things involved with that, or the certain timelines. And I haven't really started researching, but it's like, okay, I just need to remember this, because I just hit 62, so I got a little.
So you got a little bit of time. Yeah,
I got a little bit of time.
You reminded me of something I want to share here in a bit. So yeah, so that's one of the things, and the other I just kind of wanted to touch on was, people have Medicare supplements. It's just one of those things I thought of this week. It's like, I want to share this without it sounding too pitchy. But in the fall, we have this huge, you see all the TV commercials about, the enrollment time. The thing is, with a Medicare supplement, people have that Medicare supplement, you don't have an annual enrollment. Your plan continues until you decide to sign up for another plan, or you stop paying it. They'll cancel, you don't pay it. So a Medicare supplement, there's Medicare supplements and there's Medicare Advantage, and there's a difference, and I'm not going to get big time in that. But if you have a Plan N, a Plan G, a Plan F, and that's what you have, and you have a separate drug plan, you have a Medicare supplement. They like to raise their rates, and they don't always raise the rates in January. Sometimes it's in the middle of the year. So sometimes you have folks that want to change their plan or see if they can get a better rate. I can help you now. Now, you do have to go through the health screening. You don't have to get a physical. It's just a matter of answering some questions. Are you
alive?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit more than that. It's
okay.
Yeah, because like some companies, if you say the D word, sorry, doesn't matter whether it's type 1 or type 2. If it's diabetes, they're just going to say, we don't take you. Or we'll take you if you're diabetic, but as long as you don't have neuropathy. So there are some health questions, but it's a pretty simple process. Some of the companies we have to put in what prescriptions you're taking, and then other companies will just do a electronic search of what prescriptions you've had. And what throws some people off is having a drug that was prescribed 2 years ago. They took the 3 months worth and it wasn't doing anything, so the doctor changed the prescription. And some of those prescriptions can be knockouts just because you've had that prescription. I had a client that wanted to get a plan. Actually, I think this was on a life insurance, but had migraines. Well, one of the drugs that they tried on some people as a trial basis for migraines is an Alzheimer's drug. So once you've had an Alzheimer's drug, insurance companies do not want to talk to you.
So those drugs that are classified as one thing but can be used for different things.
Right. So that's one of the things that we try to watch and hopefully can help people find a plan that will work for them and get a bit. And I actually have been writing a lot of people on the Plan N. Again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on Plan N because I want to get more info from Don, but there's just something I thought of this week. I want to get a little bit of this out. The thing is, Plan N is very much like Plan G, if you have Plan G and you know how it works, but there's a few copays with it. But it's, again, much lower premium. A few years ago, I encouraged people who could still get the Plan F that didn't have the Part B deductible to get Plan G, because the difference between the premiums and that little bit you had to pay for an annual deductible, you saved a lot of money doing G. Now I'm kind of leaning towards, hey, you might want to go with N. So sometimes that's a way to lower your rate, is to drop a level of the coverage. If you hardly ever go to the doctor, Plan N can be a really good fit for you, because if there's a few like doctor copays, but it's still going to cover the urgent care, it's still going to cover labs, and those kind of things, outpatient surgery, still going to cover all those hospitalizations, all those. There's just a few little small costs that might be included. So that savings can make a difference. And again, hey, that savings might put you into where now you can get with Dawn and make that home purchase because you're saving a few $100s a year.
It can make a difference because on via home loan, you were talking about that you have your retirement and you could qualify it on that. Well, retirement, Social Security, service-connected disability can help quite a bit.
All right. One of the things I want to bring up before I forget, on next Thursday, the 22nd at 6 p.m., I will be doing a Welcome to Medicare workshop at the Cumberland Business Incubator. That's in Crossville on the Roan State campus. It's a separate building from the college classes there, but it's on the same. It's on Cook Road there, where Stone Memorial High School is. And I tell people, you know where Buc-ee's is? Yeah, okay, it's on the other side of the interstate. That kind of gives them that reference of where to go to. It's real easy to get to, even if you're from out of town, because it's less than a mile off of the interstate. So it's basically, when you get off, it's like one turn, depending on which, if you're coming from east or west. But if you come over from Buc-ee's, take that first right before you get to the Pilot and go down there and you'll find it. So that's something, and you don't have to be turning 65 to come to the Welcome to Medicare. And even if you're, like Dawn, it's like, I know it's going to be coming up in a couple of years and I'm really curious. Come on to the workshop. I don't care. It's free. There's no sales. It's just an informational thing. I'm not going to try to say, oh, you're here. Let's sign you up for this life insurance. No, it's just educational. Now, we do hope that you'll get enough information out of it that you're like, okay, Matt's the guy I need to talk to when I'm ready to do this. And I have a lot of people have done that, so it has been worth it. And I know, Dawn, you do some, you do some workshops like that too. Do you have anything coming up in the near future that's just kind of open to the public?
We are definitely working on some things. It's just a matter of getting some dates in.
You don't have the dates right now?
Yeah, the first few weeks have been crazy, but we are starting to get some things on the calendar.
That being said, I'm kind of humbled. I think Dawn does a little bit better job on the social media stuff and that. What's good ways for people to find you, to find out when you're doing a workshop, or they want to look into, hey, what do I need to do to get my VA loan?
First of all, my phone number is 931-210-8979. You can reach me that way. Another way is you can go on to LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Linktree.
Linktree, okay.
Yeah, Linktree. And my username is Don Warren, and it's got all my contact information and social media, most of my social media on there. So you could definitely go with that. That should help you as well.
All right. So that's one of the things I think I did that in the invitation to be on the show, and you probably would have done it anyway. But my thing is, hey, you get to plug yourself. You get a free commercial here, basically. Yeah. And I had to get Dawn to drive from Crossville to Cookville to do the show.
Easy drive.
Yeah.
I was in Knoxville the other day talking to a brokerage, and they said, well, you drove a long way. I'm going, it's just an hour. I went down.
Yeah, I know. People think it's so far.
So, it's like I'll be going to Clarksville soon. It's a lot farther.
Oh yeah, I'm be going there this weekend myself.
Cookville, Knoxville. I'm in these areas all the time.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny you mentioned that about the Crossville to Knoxville or whatever. I used to be in Roan County, was where my office was, so I have a lot of Kingston, Rockwood, Harriman clients. And the great thing is, they talk about social media is like once it's online, it doesn't go away. Sometimes that actually has worked to my favor in a few ways, because people will Google for an agent. I'll still come up as the closest agent for like Rockwood in not Dayton. What's Spring City, the one that's in between Rockwood and Dayton. Yes. I've gotten clients because people thought I was still in Rockwood. And I could do a lot of stuff over the phone anyway. So it's like they still, yes, it's over the phone, but they know they're not calling an 800 number and talking to somebody in Chicago or Las Vegas. They know they're talking to somebody in Tennessee. And I know that market. I had an office because I had two different offices. I moved to a bigger office, but I had an office in Roan County for 6 years. I know the doctor systems, I know what the hospitals, I know what networks they take, what networks you want to avoid, those kind of things. And so I can help them that way. And actually, I mentioned Spring City because they're in Ray County. That's considered the Chattanooga market when it comes to, actually with healthcare and Medicare pretty much. So it changes, okay, what hospitals are you looking at? Because you're not looking at Knoxville-centric stuff. You're looking at, and here in Cookville, I'm looking Cookeville stuff, but Crossville, I've got some clients who want to go to Knoxville. They don't want to come to Cookeville or vice versa. So, but I had I think it was a potential client, but they lived in the Morgan County part of Rockwood. They were up off Airport Road. And if you're not familiar with Airport Road, that's that last exit before you drop down off the mountain going to East Tennessee. But they're like, well, we want to find somebody closer. And I'm like, you're probably going to end up going to Knoxville. You're not any closer.
Right.
It just seems closer because you're going to Knoxville and you're familiar with going there. And they maybe would find somebody in Oak Ridge. But, well, I say the next, and that was when I was with my previous company. They were either going to have to go to Farragut or Clinton because there's a couple. I say a couple of. I think there's still 3 of them in the office in Clinton. You got to go all the way through Oak Ridge, to get to Clinton. You could just got on the interstate and come here to Cookeville. So it's pretty easy to get here.
It's all relative, and to me, what local is can you reach somebody by phone?
Right.
On there, and also is that person, if needed, willing to drive to wherever you're at to meet with you, because we understand that there are people older than me,
yeah,
generally much older, that feel more comfortable with in person, and I'll drive somewhere to meet with someone. But a lot of things nowadays, most everything is just done over the phone, over the internet, through the email, and it's a matter of, can you reach the person? And I know you can be reached. Yeah, I can be reached. So that's local.
20, 30 seconds. What's the last thing you want people to remember?
Remember this. You were talking earlier about what's one of the big misconceptions on there. There is no minimum credit score. That's a lender overlay.
Okay.
So it depends on the lender. Some lenders are 640 or different things. We at Southwest Funding, we can do no minimum credit score, and we have done that. It's a matter of make sure that you pay all your bills on time over the past 12 months and 24 months for housing, and you're good to go as long as everything else is good.
Well, that's great to know. I didn't know about that. I'm glad we were able to share that. So again, until next week, see you on the radio and tune in to Insurance Matchmaking. You can always find us at insurancematchmaking.com.
You've been listening to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance.